Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Greatly appreciate it. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Greatly appreciate your time as well. Today we're going to tackle the 7 best wheated bourbons that you can actually find here on the My Bourbon Journey Whiskey Review channel. Let's do this. So like I mentioned, we're going to tackle 7 of the best wheated bourbons that you can actually find hopefully here in the market today. And I wanted to lead off with a few honorable mentions. There will be these 2 here, one that I'll digitally throw up on the screen because I don't actually have a bottle of it, but it's a fantastic one as well. But let's just start with from Stitzel-Weller Distillery out of South Carolina and their Jimmy Red. An absolutely incredible grain forward wheated bourbon. It is unlike an awful lot that you'll ever have tried, but in my opinion, it is one that it really needs to be a must try, and that's why I've got it on here. Not as easy to find, and again, that's part of why it's an honorable mention. And to me, the Grain to Glass from Heaven Hill, this was a surprise for me. Of the 3 that they released in 2025, it was probably my favorite. I love that wheated mash bill that Heaven Hill oftentimes has. This just hit. Again, it was a little bit different in terms of the I think chinquapin barrels that they were aged in, but it really rounded it out in a fantastic way. A little higher price point on that bottle, but if you can find it, I would recommend it. I think it's that good. So, and then obviously from Bardstown Bourbon Company that you can see right here, baby. It's a fantastic or an incredible wheated bourbon as well, readily available. Really pretty friendly price point, maybe $50 for the most part, but they do a fantastic job with producing a wheated mash bill as well. So there are the 3 honorable mentions right out of the gate. All right, so let's start off the list with very tried and true. I mean, everybody is familiar with the Red Wax and Makers. I'm going to lead off with obviously their cask strength, and the sneaky one for me is the Makers 101. It's maybe a little bit more difficult to find, but oftentimes when I'm out and see things at liquor stores, the 101 does still seem to be sitting around. From my understanding, a once a year type of release. I think it's gone a little bit more than that at this point. But if you can find, I think either one of these, from a tried or true wheated bourbon mash bill, I mean, it doesn't get more tried and true than what Makers is producing. And these 2 specifically are ones that, I mean, I enjoy. I mean, as you can see, a little bit older bottle design, but overall, I think what you're getting for these price points, incredible wheated bourbons. And again, it's why I had to have this on the list of, kind of my 5 favorite wheated bourbons that you can actually find. So let's lead off the list with a couple of bottles from Maker's Mark. All right, so not technically a wheated bourbon, but a wheat whiskey. They're Burnheim barrel proof wheat whiskey. To me, I think it's just one of those whiskeys that hits me a certain way, that offers up a tremendous wheat profile. And if you can kind of get behind some of that wheated profile, it's something I think you'll truly appreciate. When you start to get these at that barrel proof, it just kind of hits a little bit different. And for me, what it is that they being Heaven Hill release a couple times a year, the Burnheim barrel proof wheat whiskey is just one that I have a hard time passing up. I love the overall profile that it has. It's very underrated in my opinion, but it is one of those whiskeys that I try to sway a lot of people towards it just to give it a try and see what they think. But it's why I had to have this on, my top, 7 best wheated bourbons that you can actually find list. So give that a try from Heaven Hill, their Burnheim barrel proof wheat whiskey. All right, so let's stick with Heaven Hill. We're going to go with the Old Fitz 7 year. So when this thing came out in 2025, I think it kind of garnered a lot of attention, a lot of hype. Early on, wasn't overly crazy about it, but I think as this bottle opens up and sits, it really hits its stride. And I think for that $60, give or take, price point, its general availability for the most part, I've seen this thing a lot of places recently. So I think it's become much more readily available. But if you can find it, and maybe either you haven't tried it or have been looking for it, I wouldn't wait any longer. You know, pick up a bottle. The Old Fitz 7-year is a tremendous wheated bourbon from Heaven Hill. Kind of just falls very much in line with their Old Fitz lineup for the most part, and this being a little bit more, I guess, budget friendly from the Old Fitz line, but I think it still falls right into that category of a beautiful daily sipping wheated bourbon, and the Old Fitz 7-year definitely does not disappoint. All right, so let's move on, and this time we're going to go with Green River. Man, I'll tell you what Green River has done over the past 2, maybe 3 years of some of the releases that they've continued to put out. They just kind of keep like reinventing themselves for the most part, and what they've done with, you know, not only their standard wheated bourbon, but now the new foolproof wheated bourbon that they've recently released in 2026 just kind of hits on a whole new level, and it just falls right in line with all of the quality that Green River has continued to put out, and they just kind of keep hitting us with more. And again, the most recent one, their foolproof wheated bourbon, just kind of falls in there. You know, again, at these price points of, you know, I'm going to say anywhere from $50 to $70, give or take, for any of these, maybe even a little bit less depending on, you know, where you're finding these. But overall, you know, if you're a fan of Green River, you understand. If you're somebody who's either been on the fence or not sure, or have been looking to maybe get into something from Green River, start here. Oftentimes a wheated bourbon profile can be a little bit softer, a little bit more gentle, but I think with what it is that Green River has, man, they just keep kind of stepping up their game and continue to put out, again, at a great price, very available. And again, their newest wheated bourbon, their foolproof, is just proof of that. So pun intended, so to speak. So with that, if you guys can find something from Green River, specifically their wheated mash bill, do yourself a favor. And again, it's why I had to have this as one of my 7 best wheated bourbons that you can find today. All right, so here we are, Ben Holiday Soft Red Winter Wheat bourbon. Absolutely fantastic bourbon. There's not much else I can say about this. If you are familiar with Ben Holiday and their soft red wheat, you know what I'm talking about. If for some reason you have not tried this, I would highly recommend it. It is a absolutely fantastic wheated bourbon, and one that there's not many people who try it who've said, I'm not really a fan of that. Most people, when they try it, are either very surprised because, again, it's not from Kentucky, it's not MGP. This is coming out of the state of Missouri, and what it is that Ben Holiday does and kind of continues to do is tremendous. They kind of keep pushing the envelope there, and what they're doing there at the distillery is very focused on that. They want to continue to kind of push the envelope a little bit. The fun part about what they do here is they classify these from, you know, different, not only different rick house, but you know, different ricks and height, things along those lines, A, B, C, D, all of these good things. I mean, what it is that Ben Holiday does is pretty tremendous. Different floors, all of that. They're telling you, being very transparent with their labeling, so you kind of have an idea of what it is you're tasting. And the fun part is that will kind of continue to change with each release. They may find different barrels from different floors that they blend in, so making it different than a prior release. So if you can find this from Ben Holiday, man, give it a try. I think it's an absolutely fantastic bourbon, and one that a lot of people really appreciate, and I think you will too. All right, so let's wrap this thing up. And again, I mean, Larceny Barrel Proof, I mean, what else can I say? I think this was one that may be a little bit more controversial for the most part, but I think with their most recent release of the C923, for me, it really elevated that kind of release. And what I mean by that is it feels like it's changed in a good way. I felt like you're getting more richness, more character, more everything with the newest release. And hopefully it will continue to kind of go that way, or with their other releases. And that's why I had to have the Larceny Barrel Proof on here as one of the 7 best or bourbons that you can actually find, because of what it really is, what it represents. It just has overall, I don't even want to say the consistency, because it's kind of lacked in that. It's been more tried and true or standard, but now with the newest one, it feels like it's a little bit more elevated. I'm hoping that it continues to kind of build a little bit. So this is maybe me hoping a little bit more for it to kind of be closer to the C925. And if it's definitely that, then I think we're all in for some really fantastic releases going forward. And it's why I just had to have this, you know, on the list of, you know, the 7 best wheated bourbons that you can actually find. All right, guys, so there you have it. There are the 7 best wheated bourbons that you can actually find today. So hopefully this helped. If you're a wheated bourbon fan, this should really help you out. I think if you start with any of these, this will give you a really good introduction to some really fantastic wheated bourbons and give you a good idea of what it is that you may like, or maybe even something that you don't like. We're not all gonna like everything the same, and that's the best part about, you know, kind of drinking a lot of these whiskeys. But I think overall, for what you're getting here with each one of these on this list, in my opinion, you're getting fantastic profiles, ones that I think are worthy of you spending your hard-earned money on. So now let me hear from you. I want to hear whether or not you agree with me, disagree, whatever it may be. This is the fun part of you guys kind of getting down there in the comment section and doing your thing. So let me know, and can't wait to hear your thoughts on this, whether or not I've kind of nailed this one or missed or whatever it may be, but love to hear from you guys as well. So with all that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Greatly appreciate it, as always. If you'd like to follow me, you can on Facebook and Instagram, those places at My Bourbon Journey. If you'd like to help support the channel and become part of the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, make sure you check out that Patreon link in the description below. That down there with a lot of other great things for you as well. So again, thank you so much for tuning in today. And as always, it's about the journey and not the destination. Cheers, guys. We'll see you in the next video.